Welcome back into another soon-to-be award-winning episode of Bro Therapy with Bass and the Bear, presented by TM5. I am the Bear. Here with me, as always, Mr. Casey Bass.
What's up, homie?
Dude, you know what this week is, man. I am so jacked up and ready. We got a little bit. Yeah, right there. You're representing, baby. You are representing. I like it. The big week. Big week. We are wrapping up something that you talked about last week in the podcast, wrapping up what might possibly be the best 10 days in sports on Sunday.
And it's gotten off to such a great start.
Dude.
I know you're not a wrestling nerd like I am, and I'm not near the wrestling nerd I used to be. I watch WrestleMania every year. I watch the Raw after WrestleMania, and I watch Royal Rumble. That's
Royal
it. That's
Rumble.
all I watch.
Yeah.
But and I can do that because I have a Josh Barlow in my life who watches everything with his son, and he just tells me what I need to know. Right?
Fills in the information.
Yeah. And so I'm like, why is this important? And he'll tell me, oh, okay, cool. But this year's WrestleMania was freaking stupid. It was so good. So good.
Off the chain, dude. It was
crazy.
The greatest WrestleMania I've ever seen.
Legit. It was amazing. 17 was my favorite up until now. And 17 is still amazing. And Shawn Michaels Undertaker is, arguably the best WrestleMania match of all time, but those dudes on night 2 tore the house down. It's not the best wrestling match I've ever seen, like just wrestling match I've ever seen. But as far as sports entertainment goes and blowing the doors off the place and doing crazy crap and everybody going, holy crap. There were so many holy crap moments in that one match.
It just kept continuing. It was nuts, dude. Yeah.
Nobody expected The Undertaker.
No.
Everybody expected not. Stone Cold.
Yes, that's who I thought it was going to be.
And instead of Stone Cold, we got The Undertaker. And that was wild.
I don't know how that came to be. I thought Taker I didn't think he'd ever be back in the ring again after watching his documentary and him talking and him sort of not being in wrestling. And then, yeah, when he showed up, they had the music, when the bells tolled and the music, popped on and the lights went off, me and both my boys just jumped up off the sofa and just started yelling and screaming. Like, we knew exactly what time it is. Like,
well, and Taker, shout out to Undertaker too, because he's old. He's been through like the amount of wrestling matches that dude has had. He's 30 years older than he actually is. His body is. And he was in the ring for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And he was under the ring for what appears to be 30 minutes. There's a screenshot that Barlow sent me where somebody is lifting up the apron to pull something out to hit somebody with, and you can see Undertaker under there. He was under the ring that whole time.
That's a big dude under the ring, too.
Yes.
That's also not a small man underneath that ring.
To put over Cody Rhodes, just to make Cody look good. He said, I'll get under that ring.
What an ending. And I don't know if you saw the press conference afterwards where Cody Rhodes was talking about the watch that Triple H and everybody gave him. Did you see that?
I did.
Dude, emotional, man. The same replica watch that his dad pawned so Cody Rhodes could go to acting school and hopefully, progress his career is what Triple H and some of the WWE brass presented to Cody Rhodes after winning the title at WrestleMania.
That was not my favorite part of that press conference.
Really? Oh man, that got me teary-eyed, man.
My favorite part of that press conference was Cody showing who Cody is and why everybody loves Cody. The reason that Cody Rhodes is where he is just because of him, his character. I've heard that the ring crew hates him because he doesn't leave. So as long as there are people after the house shows who want to meet him around the ring, Cody will sign their autographs and take their pictures, and they can't take the ring down until Cody leaves. Used to be, as soon as your match was over, you were out the door and on to the next town. And everybody, I guess, still does that, but Cody stays. Well, in that press conference, he calls on a reporter, and the reporter says, I'm such and such from the Marietta Daily Journal. And Cody stops and does like 2.5 minutes on why he loves the Marietta Daily Journal.
Oh,
now, let's be clear. This is WrestleMania in Philadelphia. The Marietta Daily Journal is trying to get a press pass. Really only one way they're going to get one. And that's because of Cody Rhodes. Now, for you and I, most people wouldn't mean anything. But for you and I, this was a big deal to me because he goes on to explain that the reason he loves them so much is that when he was in high school, they were the paper that covered his wrestling. They were the paper that picked him up early in the season and kept doing reports on him until he won his state championship. It was that paper that he got to pick up and see his name in. And even though they spelled Runnels, because his real name is Cody Runnels, with 2 L's instead of 1, which he said, he still remembers. This guy's just had the biggest moment of his life. And he's talking about this journalistic entity that covered his high school sports and how he will always love them. And I know he got them that press pass. And there's 100 dudes in there, and he made sure to call on that guy, so he got his question in. Class act. And as a guy who, I just did the numbers, Bryce, a guy who's, and you and the rest of our team have done over 1,100 hours so far of live high school sports in the 2023-2024 year.
That's amazing.
It just means the world to me. We haven't even got into baseball playoffs yet. We're going to end up over 1,300 hours of live high school sports this year. Nobody's doing that.
No.
But if one kid,
not even high school, I mean, middle school too. We're covering middle school. Billy and I right now are setting up middle school schedules for baseball playoffs.
Some crazy person does gymnastics. Never watched gymnastics in his life, but he covered on the radio. But
I tried.
If one of those kids 25 years from now turns around and says, I really appreciate Hometown Sports Media because I they put me on the air. They gave me some credit. If one of those, just one of these boys or girls, because that's one of the things I love even more. We did 64 football games this year. We did 63 girls basketball games.
That's awesome.
So only one less than all of our football coverage was girls basketball. Yeah, I'm patting us on the back, but we put a lot of work in this. Don't make any money.
Yeah.
We're just praying to be a break-even entity, because we love teenagers and we love high school sports, and we just want to show everybody. I got so mad this week on X. Here I'll start.
All right. Yeah,
ding, tag me.
Time them in. Let's go.
I got so mad this week because I kept seeing these stories pop up on my timeline once I finally got Elon Musk to let me back into Twitter about all these terrible high school students and all the problems they are in class and how hard it is for teachers. And that's all I kept seeing in my timeline. I'm going, who are these kids? Where are you coming from? Like that's my point is let's do 1,100 hours of showing people who these guys are, who these guys and girls are. These kids who are getting up, going to school, doing workouts, getting straight A's, and going out and competing together and being a part of their community and giving this community something to be proud of and bettering themselves and going on to whatever their next level is. And, that's what I want people to know. I have a passion for teenagers because to me, they're the most underestimated group of people there is in the world. We never give them the credit. I think one of the reasons that I've had so much success in my life with teenagers and working with teenagers is because I speak to them as a normal human. I don't speak down to them. I don't speak to them like they're an idiot. These kids are smarter than me sometimes.
Yeah.
And getting to deal with kids like Jonah Hatchett, like Tidwell in Heard County, these kids, and I just named 2 out of 1,000 that we cover. Right. These kids are spectacular. And the world needs to know it. The world needs to see what the future, we're in good hands. This generation is better than ours. They are the most empathetic generation we have ever seen. And I live with one of them. And the things that come out of her mouth blow me away just about dealing with other people and caring about other people. And so, our goal is to these idiots on Twitter telling these stories, there's a chance they're not even teachers.
Yeah.
And I know that
they're not even true stories. They could just be stuff they've made up.
I know there's tough situations and there's tough schools and there's tough whatever and da. But in the media, so much the negative drowns out all of the positive. All the positive. I'm scrolling down that timeline. I'm seeing those stories, and then right under it, I'm seeing Heard County tweet out a picture of 10 football players with their book where they've been reading Jocko's book and doing a book study, and you can see on the board where they're breaking it down with notes, and they've all finished this book about leadership together. Like they volunteered to read this book together and learn how to be better leaders, not on the football field, in life. These football coaches, these basketball coaches, these softball coaches, these track coaches are producing the leaders of tomorrow. And they're doing a great job of it. And at Hometown Sports Media, we want the world to know that. And we have put our money where our mouth is. And we've got our teeth kicked in financially sometimes, and we're doing good now. But, you know, it's not about making money. We're not maybe ever going to make money. We just want to break even. We make money, we're going to give it back to the kids. We want the world to see what they're doing and see the positive things. So if you got a bunch of craphead kids out there, shut up, go to a different school, or you know, suck it up. But stop running down the rest of the teenagers in this country who are, for the most part, amazing human beings who have to deal with crap we never had to deal with. When I was a kid, I got bullied in the 6th grade. Okay, I was a little fat boy who got, before I hit puberty, I got bullied. And I still deal with it at 45 years old. But you know what? I got to go home and get away from it. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't ever get away from it.
Constant.
And it's worse because at least back in my day, if you bullied me, there's a solid chance you would get punched in the mouth. But if you bully somebody on this, there's no chance of that. It could be anybody with anonymously. These guys and girls are having to deal with this crap. It's their reality. And so it just burns my butt anytime that I see teenagers as a whole lumped into this negativity crap about the world's going to pot. They may be the only hope we have are these kids. Anyway, I love you guys.
I'm with you, man. All the athletes we cover are phenomenal people. Like just watching them, and they're great athletes. But I think the thing that I've come to love and enjoy over the past couple of years that we've had Hometown Sports Media and Morning Five is like getting to know these kids on a more personal level. And like, go look at their grades. Like some of these kids have an above 4 GPA. I didn't even know that was possible until last year. And I'm being dead honest. I had no clue. I did not know that. Like you look at McKenna Nix out at Temple, one of the best women's basketball players in the West Side in high school right now. Like she is awesome. She is going to have her pick of colleges her senior year. And then go look at her GPA. I'm pretty sure McKenna's GPA is above a 4. I think she's above a 4 GPA. And like it's just it's
Will Huggins. Will Huggins today signs with UGA to play baseball. And I swear to God, I'm scrolling. I go, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like I didn't even go, holy cow, that's amazing. I was like, yeah, good for UGA for finding him. Makes perfect sense. Prothrow gets offered from LSU earlier
everywhere
in the week.
now.
Like, well, what took them so long?
Yeah,
they're so spectacular. These teenagers are so spectacular. They don't even surprise me anymore. my first instinct is, duh.
Of course they did.
Yeah. Of course they did.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, what's yours? What you got, homie?
All right. So my first grievance today, it's gonna be another food one. So last week I got a little pissed off about the family size portions. Don't tell I'm as big as some families, like some smaller families. I'm the same size of them.
For the record, right now, that rant, leader in the clubhouse for all time bro therapy rants. My favorite.
Came from the heart.
That's lunch.
For the best. That's lunch. That's lunch, damn it. So I got another rant that came to me the other day while I was eating lunch. Funny enough is I went upstairs and my normal lunch is I do a salad sometimes, but a lot of times I'll do a sandwich. I'm a sandwich guy. I grew up eating PB&J, liverwurst, olive loaf, bologna, sandwiches like that. So I go upstairs, make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I'm like, I'm gonna have some chips with this. Open up a fresh bag of Ruffles wavy chips. I open it up, and Casey, I shit you not, there's only about 25% of that bag that's full. The other 75% is wasted air. Why are you cheating me out of 75% of the product that I think I am going to buy? That chip bag is 25% full. You open up a family size. Once again, we're going to go to portions. A family size bag of Ruffles is maybe good for 2 plates. It's the amount of chips they put in a bag is too damn low.
And $6.
Yes, and it's expensive as hell. And they're probably not even real potatoes. Yeah, it's probably manufactured somewhere. Like the amount that you have to pay for a bag of potato chips now and the amount of food you get in a bag of potato chips, I'm going to send a big F you to Lay's, Ruffles, all those companies that produce it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to sit here and endorse Pringles because never in my life have you opened a Pringles can and there's only been 25% of those Pringles in there. Buddy, that thing is stock full of Pringles right to the brim. Good job, Pringles. Lay's, you got to do better because I am tired of opening 75% empty bags of chips.
So, as a guy who had 10 years in the food manufacturing business, you're not 75% short, right? If you're 25% full, you're not 75% short.
Yeah.
Probably, but you are 50% short.
Yeah.
You got to have room for the air. They blow air down to it's just a manufacturing thing. But just keep, and that's why Pringles can fill the can because it's not a bag and it's just whatever. However, I agree with you. And here's one even better.
Ooh.
You don't even know this. I'm about to blow your mind.
All right.
This is important for you. Parents with children our age and like Bryce with younger kids, you need to listen to this. I figured this out the other day at the grocery store. Kraft singles come in two different packages, 16 count and a 24 count, right?
Right. Okay.
Is there any difference in the single from the 16 to the 24?
I don't think so.
Just 8 more slices.
I think it's just 8 more slices.
Yeah, that's what most people would think. You're wrong.
What?
You're wrong. The 24 count is smaller. There is less fake cheese in a 24 count slice than there is in a 16 count slice. Look, when you go to the store, look at the two next to each other side by side, pull your phone out, do the math. It's 17% less fake cheese. I did the math.
Even though
17% less. And it doesn't say it anywhere. They don't tell you that anywhere. You just assume that a Kraft single is a by God Kraft single, but it's not. A Kraft single should be a unit of measure.
That's what I was thinking. Yes.
It should be a unit. It even is in the title. Single. Speaking of, hey, since we're trying to blow up on the internet.
Yeah.
I made a change.
All right.
What's up, brother?
Oh, brother, Tuesday. Special teams, special plays, special players. I don't understand how he got so big.
He's so funny.
I've watched him for a while, and he just like exploded over the past couple.
You just have to hit the right right spot in the algorithm, and people see and go, that guy I like watching. Boom, and good for him. So happy for him. Like,
dude, he's hilarious.
25-year-old dude. Like, good for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kraft singles are a ripoff. My turn. Food.
Yes.
Stay in the food lane.
Hit me up.
Back when I had cable, and the DVR, you have, and I'm guessing everybody's like this.
Old TiVo days.
Yeah, but I had a DVR, DirecTV for 20 years until the price just kept going up and up, and I just had to get rid of it.
I had to cut that cord.
I miss it. I really would like to get rid of everything if everything was still on there.
Yeah,
but it's just not.
It's not.
It was so easy
as hell, dude.
Yes, it's so much.
We switched over to YouTube TV, YouTube Chat at. If you want to sponsor this podcast, Chat at. We cut our Uverse, and we're paying $20 less for YouTube TV a month and getting more channels.
Right. So, my DVR habits were this: you have the shows that you watch, right? Like The Sopranos or The West Wing for me, or whatever that me and my wife would watch. Those are DVR'd for whatever. And then I had a segment of shows that I would DVR for my just downtime. I need something to watch. This is good to zone out to. And my number one show was on the Food Network, and it was called The Best Thing I Ever Ate.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Best thing I ever ate was like 15 seasons, and it was just all these celebrity chefs, and there would be a segment of best hamburger. And so they would all talk about the best hamburger they've ever had, and they would show you where they got it and talk about the hamburger. And they wouldn't go there. They did production where they would talk about it, and they would send the production team in, and they would film it, and then they would talk over the B-roll, right?
Interesting. Okay.
It's a great show. And I travel for business, and so I would see, okay, I'll go there and try that sandwich. Just mindless television. For some reason, The producers and editors at the Food Network find it ridiculously important to show me close-ups of people eating food. I don't need to see someone chewing their food. It doesn't make me think, ooh, that looks delicious. It makes me think, now I want to throw up in my own mouth. It's disgusting. I quit watching the show. I couldn't handle it. Every single thing. They would go through the whole deal, show me this hamburger. I'm thinking that's freaking delicious. And all of a sudden, some dude is eating this burger and the camera is just this. And it's disgusting. It's gross. You know what? The Charmin commercials, they show me the little bears, right?
Yeah.
With the Charmin stuck to their fanny.
Right.
I get what they're trying to say.
It's
I don't need to see the bear taking the poo. I don't need to see a close-up of him doing the act. I get the drift. Food Network, you can show me all the food. You can zoom out to a table full of people enjoying this food if you want to. We know they're going to eat it. Like, that's the point. You don't have to prove it by watching it past the esophagus. Drives me insane.
I'm surprised they didn't take like an X-ray video of it as it like goes down to the esophagus and goes into the belly and gets broken up and everything. Surprised they didn't have an in-depth look into it.
And the thing is, the biggest show they ever had, the two biggest shows they ever had, probably let's say the three biggest Food Network shows ever: Emerald Live, Good Eats, and anything with Guy Fieri.
A Diamond Dash, Dive, and
none of those guys are ever close-ups. But on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, I guarantee you're going to get at least one or two close-ups of somebody's stinking mouth. And it ain't going to be Guy Fieri's because he's not going to let him make the shot of him.
That's a really good show. I love that show.
Yeah, it's great. It's fun.
Yeah. They should do something like that in the West Georgia area and cover all the restaurants around here. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, sound is a problem.
Yeah, that's disgusting. My wife would be in the same boat you are. She hates she hates hearing people eat and watching people and like brushing teeth in the morning. Like if she's in there getting ready, she's a teacher. So she's in there getting ready for school and everything, drinking her coffee while she's putting her makeup on. And I tootle on in there and I get my toothbrush and she's like, absolutely not. If you're going to brush your teeth, you have to go downstairs and brush your teeth because you cannot brush your teeth next to me while I'm getting ready. It's like a sound thing. But yeah, chewing up close. Yeah, Emily's the exact same way. It's a no-go. Absolutely no-go. Yeah, can't do it. Can't do it.
We're moving quick. What you got?
So my next one is anybody who gatekeeps anything. It's one of the most annoying things
that I isn't about UConn former basketball players, is it?
No. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. This is no, not
because that's on my list.
But yes, I agree. I know where you're going with that one. All right, so no, this is more of like what people love or what people enjoy to do. And I think I figured out the reason. I was actually reading about this before the podcast, and I was trying to figure out the psychological effect on people and why they gatekeep. And I think I read a post and it made a lot of sense. So what I hate about it is, so I'm getting into vinyl now. I love vinyl stuff, love buying records and everything. And a lot of the communities that you go into for vinyl are very they gatekeep stuff. And like if you're not looking for vinyls or records that they think are the elite of the elite vinyls or records or bands or anything, you just get shut out or made fun of. I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. I love Jimmy Buffett. I know a lot of people hate Jimmy Buffett. That is like my golden goose. Like that's my golden egg that I'm looking for. Is every time I go out, if I find a Jimmy Buffett album, which I rarely do, that's what I purchase because I love Jimmy Buffett. I know people don't like him.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. Jimmy. But one of the places that I was just talking online, I was getting made fun of pretty profusely for looking for Jimmy Buffett albums, and to where in their mind I should be looking for Simon and Garfunkel or the
Smiths.
Beatles. Yeah, the Smiths, the Ramones, like the Sex Pistols, all these sort of originators of music and I don't know, the genre, creating the genre. The people that gatekeep, music is really bad, but really anything is like that. I was reading a post about coffee the other day, and people were just talking about what type of coffee they enjoy. And there was a gatekeeper on there talking about, well, if you don't have French press, if you don't grind your own beans, are you really even drinking coffee? That stuff that you guys drink is terrible. Shouldn't even be called coffee. I cannot believe you put cream and milk in your coffee. You shouldn't even be allowed to drink coffee. And I'm like, why do we have these people that gatekeep stuff that's enjoyable? Like it's fun, it's an activity, you're enjoying it. But I think the reason is these people latch on to something so much it becomes part of their identity. And these people think that when other people either disagree with them or they don't do it the exact same way they do, they're insulting their identity. And people hate when you insult their identity or their person or something like that. So I think that's why a lot of the gatekeeping happening is because these people that become obsessed with something, they make it their identity or their personality or that is them. And essentially when you're insulting, I like Jimmy Buffett. Well, that's an insult to the Sex Pistols because they're the best band ever, and you're insulting me because I am a part of the Sex Pistols because I love them, or coffee, or chocolate, or anything like that. But yeah, gatekeeping as I cannot stand it, man. Like let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. Just because you enjoy something else doesn't make what you enjoy any less enjoyable to you. Just because they enjoy something else.
I am a guy who has likes that are mainstream for my demographic, right? For 40 something year old redneck jock
Yeah.
dudes, right? Like list your favorite movies and you're going to have the Tombstones and, Ricky Bobby and stuff like that. However, and when it comes to music, Metallica and Tupac and,
Right.
all of those deals, Hootie, even, and that's obviously my slot. But when it comes to my absolute favorite in both of those categories, I may be the only person in the world who my favorite band, without a doubt, and there's nobody close, is the Counting Crows.
Oh, they're pretty
Period.
good.
Full stop.
Yeah.
In the story. Last year, I got to go to a Counting Crows concert with my daughter.
Oh,
and
man.
that was the highlight of my year. And my favorite movie, I bring this up because of what you just said, because there's a scene in my favorite movie that is exactly what you're saying. To the letter, exactly what it's even vinyl. My favorite movie is High Fidelity with John Cusack. Period. End of story. Full stop. My favorite movie of all time. I've seen it 1,000 times. Is High Fidelity. And there's a scene where this guy comes in and he's a dork, and they're always picking on him. They're all hanging out in the record store, and it's Jack Black and John Cusack and the gang. And he comes up with this album, and John Cusack or maybe it's Jack Black looks at it and goes, it's not for sale. They won't sell on the album. It's too cool. We're not going to sell it today, maybe next week. Guys like, you guys are jerks. You guys are gatekeepers, yada, 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 and leaves the store. And then one of the other guys that's standing there goes, I don't have that album. I'll give you 20 for it. And they go, all right, here. And they sell it to him. Like, it's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, they actively gatekeep in the movie, and it's kind of one of the portions of the thing. There's another part where he's walking into a bar, and he stops at the doorman, Cusack does, and he looks, and somebody is singing inside. And he goes, is that Peter F. in Frampton? And the guy goes, yeah. And he's like, oh. And he goes walking in the bar. And him and Jack Black are standing there, and it's Lisa Monet singing Frampton.
Yeah.
And so one of them says, I used to really hate this song. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, now I kind of love it. And they're like, yeah. Like it's a really good, they do a really good job of satiring that process.
I've never seen that movie. I'll have to add that
You
to
need
my
to
watch.
watch it.
High Fidelity. Okay.
It's awesome. And it's Cusack at his best. It's Jack Black at his best. It's Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins'
really?
character is amazing. And I learned recently that part of his negotiate, he wasn't going to do the movie.
Yeah.
But his character required a custom wig because he has a gray ponytail. And part of his negotiation that got him to sign on was, I get to keep the custom wig. I'm like, all right. Like, just weird stuff like that. It's a great movie. I love it.
High Fidelity. I'll put that on watch. I love Cusack and I love Jack Black. So I think that's going to be right up my alley.
Yep. Who's up? Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I got to look at the list now. We're zooming through.
I
You know
know.
what? We got time today.
Yeah.
I got time today.
I ain't got nothing going on today. I
got time for you, Georgia Department of Transportation. I got time for you
today.
Yes.
Yes.
Today.
I knew this was coming at some point. Oh.
For those of you out of state, you may not know about the ridiculous traffic in the metro Atlanta area. The worst place for traffic in the metro Atlanta area is around the Tanger outlet malls south of the city when you're coming into Jackson, Georgia, which is probably not even Metro Atlanta anymore. Now, Metro Atlanta stretches a long way, but maybe it's on the edge. McDonough is on the edge of Metro Atlanta. Several years ago, they put in an HOV lane there, right down the middle. And apparently, we didn't have enough money to make it go in both directions or enough imagination to make a north and a southbound lane for HOV, which you have to pay for on the Georgia Peach Pass. I have a Georgia Peach Pass that has exactly $100 on it. It has had $100 on it for over 6 months because I can't use it. Because every time I get there, it's switched the other direction. Because all that matters in this state is getting people into Atlanta and getting people out of Atlanta to work in the morning and then to get them home at night. Well, every time I'm traveling, it's against those times. I'm traveling south for work, and then I'm coming back in the afternoon. So when I'm going south, it's flipped to the north side. So I'm stuck sitting in traffic looking at an HOV lane where there's no traffic on the other side. So there's nobody in the HOV lane at all. I'll see 3 cars come by in the HOV lane while we're all stopped, dead stopped for 30 minutes. And I'm staring at an HOV lane that I've paid to be in, but don't have access to because you can't figure out how to flip it. Here's the thing. You know, the state's broke. That's a moneymaker, right? It's like $1.50 to go the entire length of it. It kind of changes with and fluctuates. Sometimes it's more, but on average, I've done the math. It's about $1.50 to go the whole length of that HOV lane. If you took 3 people, gave 3 full-time jobs, and their only job was to watch the cameras and decide which direction that needs to be. Now, I'm just getting past the point of how come we can't figure out how to make this thing go both directions at all times? Get past that, okay? Who can look at the flow of traffic. Their only job is to sit there and watch the camera and then call the police and say, hey, we need to flip it. Somebody goes out, takes them 10 minutes, they flip it around, starts traffic moving again, and an hour later, they may go, hey, we got to flip it back. They go back out, they flip it. What would happen is where there's a bunch of traffic, when you flip it, a bunch of people who have peach passes like me would get into the lane, which means we would then get charged because that $100 I have on my peach pass isn't Georgia's, it's mine until I go into that lane, and then they get to take $1.50 off of it. You would pay 5x those people's salaries, which means then the 4x would go into the coffers to pay down debt, or maybe eventually add another stinking lane that goes in both directions. But no, 90% of the time, that thing is flipped in the wrong direction. I am sitting there watching traffic flow on the other side and seeing no cars in the HOV lane, knowing if it was flipped the other way, there'd be 50 in there. There'd be 50 or 60 cars every 10 minutes going. You'd be making $60, $70, $80 an hour minimum, probably hundreds of dollars an hour if you just flip that thing the right direction. But they just cannot seem to figure it out. This is the same group of people that it takes them 17 years to complete one little stretch of road work. And what happens is because the state of Georgia takes so stinking long to fix road work that by the time they get it done, we have outgrown what they were doing, and now you need more. We had a bridge catch on fire a couple of years ago up in North Atlanta and collapsed. They fixed that thing in 2 weekends. 2 weekends. They proved it could be done. But we had, for 15 years, we had the same stretch of I-20 getting worked on out here by our house. 15 years.
Forever. Yeah.
They got potholes that'll swallow your car getting off of I-20 on the 285 westbound. You better not be in that second lane, folks. You better get over because you will lose a tire. They're incompetent. Not going to say bad words. They make me very angry. I get really like, this is my number one thing of all of my pet peeves. This is my the incompetence. I need a job. Hey, I will watch the camera. I can do it from right here.
Yeah.
I'll watch the camera for I just do.
What kills me though is like, it's not that way northbound. Northbound, you have separate HOV lanes, Peach Pass
Yeah.
lanes, going
Right.
north and south, north of Atlanta.
You know why?
Uh, I don't. Was it a different project?
No,
I don't know.
because only thing that matters is Atlanta.
Yeah.
And north of Atlanta is where the money is.
Yeah.
And all the people in the state house get their money from the people north of Atlanta. They could give three craps about the people south of Atlanta.
Or west.
Two
We don't
different
have an HOV lane.
There's two different parts of this state. There's Atlanta and South Georgia.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And if you happen to be in the South Georgia crew, you're screwed. Or in Buckhead, which blows my mind.
That's not a
go down Ashford Dunwoody, where these $5 million houses are, where every car is $100,000 car, where these are the people paying the taxes. And look at the potholes.
It's nuts. It's terrible.
Like, no wonder they want to secede from the city of Atlanta.
Yeah.
They're paying for all the roads, and they're fixing everything except for their roads.
Yep.
And you know me, I'm not the one to defend the 1%, but it blows my mind.
It blows my mind that we don't have an HOV lane on the west side. Like, how did I-20 get built and there's no HOV lane? Like, the west side is blowing up. Like, how is that? How do we not have an HOV lane out here on I-20? Like, what's going on? At least at Douglasville, like that just, but it should be rendered useless. All of this could be rendered useless if we had a metro that actually worked worth a damn. If MARTA actually went anywhere where anybody would actually want to go to, it wouldn't matter. If it went out in the suburbs and people could get on and commute into work into Atlanta, then the traffic problem wouldn't be solved, but it'd be a lot less.
They're building that really cool deal in North Atlanta we talked about last week.
Yep.
It's important to note that MARTA doesn't go to Cobb County because of Cobb County.
Yeah.
That's MARTA wanted to.
Yep.
Still wants to go to Cobb County.
Yep.
But Cobb County didn't want the people who generally ride MARTA to come to Cobb County.
Yep.
Because if you don't have a car, if you have to ride the train to work, then you're generally lower income, and they don't want you in their county. So if they make it harder for you to get to work, you'll go live somewhere else where you can ride the train. That's 100% why MARTA is not in Cobb County. So
100%.
we can't blame DOT for that. That's on Cobb.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the case on the west side or the east side. I don't know.
I don't know.
But MARTA,
I don't know how far it goes. It doesn't go out to Conyers. I know that. But like
Republicans in general tend to be against mass transit, which doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like it would be smarter for business people, which is where a lot of Republicans are, to want people to be able to easily get to work and efficiently get to work. When you go to the Northeast and you go to Washington, D.C., you go to Philadelphia, you go to Boston,
New York,
you see New York. I've not been to New York City, but you see the way that these trains work, and you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. You go to Washington, D.C., you don't have to rent a car. You can go everywhere on the train. In Philadelphia, there's a train. I stay in a hotel downtown. I walk to Penn Station, and the last stop on that train is in the parking lot of all four sports stadiums.
Yep.
You just ride straight there, and then for $3 round trip, boop, 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 I'm out of there. No traffic, no nothing. And you can get in, get out, and you're gone. My last experience with MARTA was many years ago. The Georgia Southern was playing at Georgia Tech football. And me and my buddies who I'm seeing this weekend to watch the Masters, shout out to Big Pat and Flea. We went to the game. That was the game. There's video of me somewhere probably on Facebook of me twerking on camera where I said, if we score right here in front of me, right down here, I'll twerk in this aisle. And then we scored and took the lead, and I had to twerk. So after that game, which is the single worst call in the history of my life of ACC replay official costing my Eagles a win over Georgia Tech, the only positive thing of that was it would have been very bad for Coach Johnson if he'd have lost to his former school. But the call was so bad that Dean Blandino covered it on Sunday morning's broadcast.
I remember that. Yeah.
So we're leaving, and we go to, there's this long escalator at I guess that's the Spring Street or 17th Street exit or whatever to go down at Weidrud and MARTA there. And so there's 1,000 people going to this escalator. So right when I get on the escalator, it's packed. Like, it is shoulder to shoulder people. This thing malfunctions in the wrong way. And it goes from regular speed to 5 or 6x speed.
Oh my God.
All of us on it. And I am at the top of the thing. And for whatever reason, my brain does not work. unless there's a crisis. And then, my brain slows down and I just see the world. So I'm at the top of the thing going, we're screwed. Like I'm looking for, there's no way to get out of here. As soon as one person falls down, this is going to get ugly. Somebody's going to die. And for whatever reason, all these people coming out of that game kept their heads about them. And everybody would get to the bottom of the thing and take off running. Nobody fell. Nobody tripped.
Whoa.
Without talking. It happened so fast.
That is a miracle, man.
And ran. And I'm running off the thing. And then we turned around and looked and it slowed back down. It was one of the scariest moments of my life. It was almost a trampling event.
Did nobody get injured?
Nobody. Not one person fell down. And all of us had a little poo come out. I promise you. There was 300 people on that escalator when I was on it.
That's bizarre. For nobody to get hurt, that's unheard of.
Wild.
Every time you see that, every time you see videos or hear about that, it's 6 people died, 50 injured.
In fairness, you had a mixture because honestly, it was the stadium was 40% Georgia Southern fans, 40 or 50% Georgia Southern fans. So you had about half and half engineers and Statesboro drunks who have dealt with way worse and didn't panic, and engineers who understood what was going on. And we came together and conquered the deal.
That's one of those unlikely pairings that you wouldn't think would come together for a successful situation. But that was, they came to, if the escalator did that, you can pretty much guarantee it wasn't engineered by a Georgia Tech grad.
Right. Yeah. But it's engineered by the same people doing the city planning in Atlanta who were coming up with these weird HOV lanes. And I get it. Hey, I'm all for sin taxes, right?
Yeah.
Tax cigarettes, tax marijuana, tax booze.
Yeah.
Tax, I want to drive faster. So I want to get in this lane. I'm going to pay for it, right? I'm all for taxing things that we choose to do.
Right.
But you got to put me in a situation where I can.
Yeah, I want to.
By being smart with your city planning. And that HOV lane going south and north, it blows my mind, the stupidity of it. I just can't.
Sports gambling.
Yeah. Bring in a casino. Do you know that Steve Wynn made an offer to buy Underground Atlanta?
I heard that. I didn't know if there were any truth to that, but yeah, I did hear that.
And you want to hear the deal?
Yeah.
He offered the city of Atlanta. So everybody's one of the things that they were, because they just can't come out and say, we don't want this because Jesus, right?
Right.
So they come up with a bunch of other stuff, and they were saying it's going to add to crime. First off, it's going to add to crime in underground.
Good luck.
There's only so far you can go. Steve Wynn said, I will pay for, you can hire, and I will completely pay for 300 City of Atlanta police officers.
Whoa.
Nope. And you know why?
What? Well, I don't.
Cherokee Indians.
Oh.
If you look at the amount of money in our state house that comes from North Carolina and the Cherokee Band of Cherokee Nation, I love the Cherokee Nation. Good for them. And they spend a ton of money to keep casinos out of Georgia.
Yeah.
I was once, and you also probably get money from Alabama too, or from Mississippi, from the tribes in Mississippi. So I was once playing on a Tuesday morning at 3:00 in the morning down in Biloxi. Not in Biloxi. And we were in Biloxi at the Beau Rivage. I'm sitting at a table playing 3-card poker. This was 15 years ago. I didn't know anybody at the table. There was only like 1 or 2 tables running the whole casino. Everybody at my table didn't know each other. Everybody at my table was from Atlanta. So they all know that as soon as casinos are legal in Georgia, that they're going to start going to Philadelphia, Mississippi, gone.
Yeah.
Off the map. Maybe even the town is gone. Probably won't hurt Tunica, but Tunica's already struggling.
Yep.
Biloxi would lose 2 or 3 casinos. Beau Rivage would survive. Hard Rock would survive, but they're going to lose a bunch. And Harris is going to lose one of those casinos in North Carolina.
1,000,000%, yeah.
Because it is all driven by Metro Atlanta. And so they spend a lot of money keeping casinos. The place that for a long time, and probably still top of the list, where they want to put a casino was Waco.
Waco, Georgia?
The exit in Waco.
Yeah.
top of the list.
You get
Other
people
than in
from
the city,
Bama and Atlanta.
you got in the you got in the city, you got Waco, and then South Georgia, somewhere around like Valdosta, right? Because you
Oh,
just pull everybody out of Florida.
wow. Yeah.
You know, that would be if they make casino gambling, that's where they're going to start popping up. You probably get something in Savannah area because all the tourists, right? And you could pull down from Charleston. You could there'll be a bunch of different stuff. But in the city of Atlanta, you put a casino or two in the city of Atlanta, and they're going to do really well. And all the other casinos are not going to do well at
It
all.
would
It's going to
explode.
put them out of business.
Especially because of like the center for commerce that Atlanta's become of like hosting all of these massive conferences and sporting events, Final Fours, Super Bowls, like All-Star games. It would be insane if they put a casino in downtown Atlanta. It would be absolutely monstrous.
Do you know? Let's do positive.
Okay.
It
Let's
doesn't
do
matter.
it.
We got no rules here.
No rules, just right. Outback.
This is kind of negative, but it was a positive memory for me.
Okay.
And a funny story. So I was looking at Chris Bryant, who plays for the Rockies now, and his
I was about to say, the baseball player?
$187 million contract, right?
Yeah.
Have you been following what's going on with Chris Bryant?
No, I haven't.
He has 4 hits.
I know he hadn't been doing very well this year.
He's batting 113.
Oof.
He got 1 home run. He's batting 113. He's dropping balls at first base, putting them. He's not playing well.
Oh no.
He goes back. I got to notice this because he went back to Chicago to play and got a big standing ovation from the people in Chicago. And it reminded me of one of my favorite stories. So years ago, I had a trade show in Chicago during spring training or early in the year. It's either during spring training or just beginning of the year. It was freezing cold. And our company rented, not really rented out. We got a number of tickets to the rooftop in left field.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
And that thing's not a thing anymore because of corporate greed
Yep.
of the Chicago Cubs
They got
putting up Budweiser billboards.
Wrigley Field or Wrigley. What's the one they put that was like officially sanctioned now by the Cubs, but the Cubs get the cut of it. They didn't
One was Budweiser and one may be Wrigley Gum. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, they've covered where you can't see. But back then they weren't there. And it was the best baseball experience I've ever had. We paid $60 a person. You get in and it's all the food and all the drink. Beers included.
That's a good deal. It's a really
all the food. And we took a bunch of our customers there to spoil them. And then you can see out of the windows, it's indoors on the top floor. You can see out of the windows to the stadium. And then on the roof are bleachers. You can sit and watch the game. And so my role in this, that wasn't really my trip. This is probably 12, 13 years ago. Our other salesperson, it was her trip. It was her customers. I was just there in support. So I was just making sure everybody had drinks. I wasn't even drinking. I was, which I'm not a big drinker anyway.
Yeah, no.
I probably had a beer. But I was just making sure all of our customers had drinks, which was easy to do because they were free. So I was just going and getting people drinks.
Just handing them out, buddy.
And then once I'd make a lap, and then I would go to the roof, and I'd watch the baseball game by myself. Nobody was stupid enough to be on this rooftop. It was cold. Well, finally, I'm like, it's too cold. Like third inning, I'm like I gotta do something. So I go in, make my lap, and then I go down and out onto the street. And I asked the guy working the door, "Hey man, I need to buy a beanie. I gotta get me a hat." He's like, "They're selling them right down the street here, like Chicago Cubs do." So I got my Chicago Cubs fuzzy beanie.
Nice.
Walk out the door, and I'm standing there. And right when I'm standing there, the crowd goes, and Chris Bryant has hit a bomb, and it lands right in front of me on the street. and out of nowhere, comes this guy right in front of me and snags the ball. I'm sitting there like this, like it bounces. I'm like, there's a baseball, and it's coming to me, and this guy zoop.
Like
I'm the only guy there. There's nobody else standing there. I don't know where he came from. He was in the alley. Like he had a radio and a glove. He had a radio and a glove, listening to the game, and he heard the ball coming, and he started moving in my direction and beat me to the baseball. Like, what in the world? And I looked at the guy and I said, "Hey, dude." And he's like, 111. Like it's his 111th ball he's got. And I went, "Well, how about 110? And he let me have it." He's like, "No, I can't do that for you. But do you want a party?" I didn't realize, because I don't live in that world, that he was trying to sell me drugs. That's what that means. You want a party. So he's a drug dealer with a baseball glove and a radio.
And 111 home run baseballs, apparently.
And I was like, "No, I don't." Or do you like to party? And I was like, "Well, yeah, sure. Who doesn't like to party?" He's like, "Well, and I was like, "Oh, no. Take the ball. Just get away from me." So then I go down and get my thing and come back and do whatever. But yeah, I was this close to a Chris Bryant baseball, but some crackhead drug dealer snatched it out from in front of me. He had a
Dude, who's got
plan. He had a
111 home
plan, and I
run
didn't.
balls.
Yeah, he had a plan, and I didn't.
That's probably what his shelter is made out of, his home run balls. He just glues them together. My happy thing is something that's happened over the past, I guess, about week and a half, really. And it's opened my eyes, and I think it's really cool. It's going to be cool for you too. Um, is to see the explosion of women's sports
Yes.
in America. We've talked about this, I think, every single podcast, but I wanted to bring it up again this week, just because of the numbers that the national championship did. The women's basketball national championship did 18.6 million viewers, and it peaked somewhere between like 20 and 22 million viewers for the women's national championship. In comparison, I think the men's peaked around like 12.
Yep.
So the women's was peaking at over almost twice what the men's did. And to see all this year, the publicity that the women's basketball team or the women's basketball programs in college have gotten is just really neat. It's great to see that they've built stories around Angel Reese and UConn and how good they were, and the South Carolina team that is just a damn juggernaut, and Caitlin Clark beating the all-time scoring record, and the fact that she has no range and people comparing her to Steph and everything. So you take the women's basketball game and then you pile it on what we saw with the women's soccer team when it was here in Atlanta when they played Japan, the U.S. women's playing in the She Believes Cup, and seeing, I mean, the Mercedes-Benz, it was packed. I mean, it was sold out. It was 56,000 or 58,000 or something crazy. Like there was over 50,000 people packed out Mercedes-Benz Stadium to see a women's soccer game. The U.S. women's were victorious over Japan. They went up to Columbus, old C-Bus, and they played Canada up there in the She Believes championship. They sold that place out. Moffray Stadium, where the Columbus Crew play, completely sold it out. Packed house again to watch the United States women's national team beat Canada 5-4 on pins and take home the She Believes Cup. And the thing that's been building over the past couple of years as well is the NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League here in America as well, and how big they've gotten. And now there's rumors that Atlanta might get an NWSL team now that the home of U.S. soccer is here in Atlanta, just moved here or is moving here this year. And I think it's cool to see the rise of women's sports and just
Pro women's hockey.
Women's hockey. Ohio State won the women's hockey national championship this year. I watched a lot of that. Flag football is another one that's become massive. There's actually a school in Alabama, I believe, that has just created the first ever officially sanctioned U.S. women's flag football collegiate team. So I don't know if they're going to try to create a league this year or next year or something like that with an all women's flag football team. And I don't know. I think I have a daughter, and you have a daughter, and I think it's just cool that all these avenues are being opened up for them. And maybe it's your daughter's daughter or my daughter's daughter that chooses to take these paths. But I think it's something very unique and very cool that all these avenues for sports are starting to open up for these women in a professional level, and they're starting to get the attention that they deserve on these sports.
There are many. I've seen multiple male basketball professional media commentators who have listed as their number one choice, if they were doing the hiring, to be the next head coach at the University of Kentucky for the men's basketball team is Dawn Staley.
Dude, she is a beast, man.
They're saying she's the best basketball coach in all of college basketball.
Yeah.
Like there are people that are men saying that out loud, and nobody's arguing with them.
That she lost all five starters from last year's team that lost in the Final Four to Iowa. She lost all five starters. What did she do this year? Went undefeated. And there's arguments to be made that their second string, their bench squad that come on, could possibly be the number 2 team in the nation.
And listen, women, I'm addressing you, ladies, the two of you who are listening. Balls in your court. Like these two rednecks talking right now are not the only two men having this conversation in this country.
No.
There's 17 million people watch women's basketball last week. More than that. That was one game.
Yeah.
Most of those are dudes. Those dudes.
A lot
I
of
didn't watch any of the men's Final Four. I watched the girls.
I didn't watch a single second of the men's tournament, really.
And I flip over and see WNBA players talking trash about Caitlin Clark.
And
Bill Burr, who I adore, does this whole bit about women and men not making the same thing in sports. And he's going, why is it my fault? This country's 60% women. The reason the men make more is because they go buy tickets. There's nobody at the game.
Go watch.
And you now have someone coming in who sells tickets, and you're going to tear her down in the middle of her biggest thing. She's not ready for the WNBA. Shut up. I don't care if you believe that or not. Lie.
Yeah.
Get people in the building. Show them what you got. Show them what the product. If she's what gets people to the building, then you can show your product off and maybe get some season ticket holders. And maybe sell some jerseys. Maybe make some money.
That's what Dawn Staley understands, because you heard her in her post-game press conference after they won the national championship. She sat there and complimented Caitlin Clark on her season and how well she's played and how good of a player she is, because she understands how good that is for the sport in the entirety of women's basketball. She understands that. And I don't know what went through Diana Taurasi's head when she was making those comments. Like, it's just
being a hater.
Yeah, just pure hate.
Troll.
Yeah.
Like, you were a part of a basketball team that had the 10 best girls in the country on it. Gino, for 8 straight years, 10 straight years, Gino had the top 10. If you took a list of the top 10 players in high school, they were all going to UConn. He had them all. So, yeah, you won every championship. You had all the girls. This chick went to Iowa.
Oh, yeah, nothing.
She went to Iowa and took them to the finals. Like, what are you talking about? Because you LeBroned it up down in Miami and put together a dream team superstars? Yeah, Diana Taurasi, great player.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. But it just blows my mind. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You have complained for years about pay disparity, and now you finally have someone and a product. It's not just Caitlin Clark. It's the LSU team. It's the South Carolina team. It's Dawn Staley. It's you have a spotlight on your sport, and you decide that that's the time to tear these people down.
Yeah, you have momentum. You have momentum in that sport that's going to be carried over to the WNBA.
It's insanity. Anyway,
yeah,
it's one or two people. It's not across the board, but you're Diana Taurasi, for crying out loud. You're a major voice. A major voice.
It should have been.
That's the story.
Encouraging.
That's the story.
Yeah.
Oh, she couldn't win the big one. Shut up. Scored 1 million points.
Yeah. Did Diana Taurasi not see the teammates that Caitlin Clark was working with and then compare them to the teammates that the entire South Carolina team had? Little different. A little different.
Yeah. That's the thing about going to the WNBA.
Yeah.
When she's out there on the court, she'll have 4 other WNBA players on her team.
And Caitlin Clark's probably biggest asset that is super underrated, her passing. She is an insanely good passer. Amazing distributor. Yeah.
She's Sue Bird and can make it from everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
she's got John Stockton's passing ability and Steph Curry's range.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Michael Jordan's screw you.
Dude, she is zoned. Yeah. Locked in, man. I love to watch her play because of just like her, just locked in. I love to watch her parents fuss at her too sometimes while she was on the court and acting that way. And
dude, her dad telling her to shut up and sit down that one time.
That's great.
I felt both sides of that. Yeah. I felt her, and I came home from a loss one time complaining about the umpire or the referee after a football game. Big Dave lit me up, son. So one time we're playing at Lakeside Augusta, and I had sprained my MCL. It's my junior year. We were #1 team in the country. And I'd sprained my MCL, and I'd sat out for 2 weeks, and then the trainer told me I was good, and he taped me up real good. And we're winning 35-0 in the first half. I'm on kickoff return. They kick off because back then we were still stupid putting linemen on kickoff return. Coaches, don't put linemen on kickoff return. There's no reason for us to be there. We can't block them.
Yeah.
They're too fast.
If they
it's
run
a bunch
right
of corners and safeties It's a bunch of corners and safeties running at full speed towards us. And you know what they do? They run around us. There's nothing we can do. Anyway, so I hated being on kickoff return. It was the dumbest thing. I maybe blocked 2 people ever. I was in the middle. They didn't have wedge busters back then. They weren't going to run at us. There wasn't no wedge busters coming at us. That was not a thing. They were not coming in there because we would kill you. So anyway, the kickoff, we take it to the house. In the process, my knee goes out onto my face. So I'm on the sideline and the trainer's looking at me. Now, I had the benefit of my trainer thought I was a senior for 3 years, and I never corrected him. Never. He was our head trainer. They came in from Piedmont Sports Medicine Clinic, so he wasn't at our school. He was there 2 days a week. And because I'd started the whole time, he just assumed I was a senior. So I'm a junior laying on my back, and the fence is right here, and I am cussing this dude out about, you told me, it's a grown man.
Yeah.
Now, this is not my finest moment. You told me I was good to go. I can't, but what did take me up and get me back? We're up 42-0 in the first half, Bryce. They don't need me. I'm not going to contribute. And I haven't torn it's a sprained MCL, right? It's no big deal. And I look up and Big Dave has leaned over the fence looking at me. My eyes go. And my man T, I remember the guy's name. His name was T. T goes, Casey, is this really how you want to end your senior year? And then I remembered I'm a senior. And I went, you're right. I apologize. I'm sorry. But I'll never forget. My dad had come down to check on me, right? He was just coming to see if I was okay.
Yeah.
And he walks into his son, president of the FCA and prayer club, cussing out this grown man on the laying on my back, just reading the riot act because he told me I was good. He didn't take me up good enough. What the heck's wrong with me? There's a snapshot of my entire personality. And yeah. And what was funny was Big Dave never said anything to me about it. I think you could see on my face that it was,
you knew,
little poo came out.
You knew.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, my bad.
Yep. We've had those situations before. We had them this year. We were playing in the semifinal game versus Bowden, and we were down. I think we were down by like 3 touchdowns at this point, and we were at the point of the game where I'm just like, we just got to throw a Hail Mary. It's like, let's throw up and figure out what happened. And Grayson dropped back and just chucked it, and they intercepted it. And he's our safety, so he gets back on safety, and he's there. Yeah, I could hear him muttering under his breath, rah, 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 rah. And I was like, what's wrong? And he was like, why'd you call that play? It's a dumb play. They intercepted it. We couldn't throw that play. And I said, we got to look at the score, man. Like, you got to understand what situation we're. That's a stupid play. We should have ran the ball, blah, blah, blah. I said, shut up and play football. And, dude, I thought the zebra that was next to me, I thought the referee was going to piss himself. He was laughing so hard.
People who, here's the thing. Even my dad, let me tell you something. That was the most unacceptable behavior in the history of the world my dad witnessed.
Yeah.
And my dad is not okay with it at all. Even my dad, who was not a football guy and never played football, understood there's a different set of rules.
Oh, yeah.
When you step on a football field, that's why I firmly believe with all of my heart, as strongly as I believe that the I-75 POV lane is garbage, there should never, ever be a 15-yard, 1-yard, or 3-yard penalty for any words that come out of a football player's mouth. Ever.
Yeah.
It is the single easiest sport for players to police itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're allowed to hit each other. If I say something to somebody they don't like, I got to line up from them again.
Yeah.
Like, I got to man up. There's nothing I should be able to say or do. I should be able to dance. I should be able to, McCringleberry myself all over the place. And nothing. There should never be a penalty for words unless I say it to an official.
Yes.
But if I'm cussing out some dude talking about his mama on the other side, that's just part of the game.
Yep.
If I hit a guy and tell him I just hit him and tell him, I like the snot bubbles, looks good on you. You should wear that to prom, which I may or may not have done more than once. It's the game.
Football.
Like it's an absolute fist fight when you walk out there. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
There should never, ever, ever be a penalty. If I hit you late, if I hit you dirty, that's 15, and maybe you can kick me out of the game.
Yeah.
But for words,
jawing back and forth,
get out of here. And even my old man recognized that. You get caught up in it. Like, you have to put yourself in a mental state to play that game that is unnatural. It is an unnatural game to play. You are strapping on a helmet, and you are to run full, you are taught to run full speed at another human being who is running full speed at you and slam your face into them.
It's full predator mode.
If you walk into that in Sunday school mode,
you ain't gonna be playing.
Everybody's great about Tim Tebow. Listen, everybody loves old Timmy because of Jesus.
Yep.
Tim didn't have to hit nobody. Tim didn't have to. I'm Captain Jesus too. But when I stepped on that field, I'll try to rip your liver out of your nose. I was there to hurt you.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only way to survive. And when that's your mindset, words cometh forward.
Yeah.
They come out. And it's just words.
That's the main reason why my wife is the only team mom that I can have on my football teams, because she understands. She knows once we get into those lines, like, it's a different thing. I remember my mother joking about when I'm coaching. She was like, I don't know how your assistant coaches put up with you the way you talk to them. And I said, they talk to me the exact same way. I said, we're just in the middle of a competition. I said, there's nothing personal. I said, we're just very heated, passionate people that want to win games. Like, we're all working towards the same goal. And sometimes it comes out very passionately. And, I've had, team moms before that they just didn't understand what it ain't baseball. It ain't soccer. It's different. Like, it's kill or be killed. And I gotta have people that buy into that.
When I was coaching 8, 9, 10-year-old football here in Bremen with Chris Cartwright.
Yeah.
I come home one day after a game and my wife says, why do you guys coach together? What are you talking about? She's like, y'all can't stand each other. So what do you mean we love each other? So all you do is argue and yell at each other. I'm like, no, we don't. That's ridiculous. So then I go and I see Chris. I'm like, you're not gonna believe what my wife said. Do we have an issue? And he's like, what are you talking about? We don't. What are you talking about? So the next Saturday we're playing and he does something. He was back then he called offense, I called defense. And the next year we switched and stayed that way.
Yeah.
And because that's where it needed to be. He's a defensive genius. And I just did it for the 8-year-old. But so this is, I think, 9. So I'm coaching offense, he's coaching defense. And something happens and we're fussing. Me and him are fussing. And we just stopped like mid-sentence and looked at each other and started laughing. Like, holy cow. No wonder they think we hate each other. Like, we were at each other's throats.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
To the point that later on we're playing in a big game, maybe even at West Georgia. And we're on a drive and he calls timeout. And as I see him calling timeout, this my number one skill in life is clock management in a football game. For whatever reason, just my brain is like a beautiful mind with the numbers. It drives me insane that people can't do it in the NFL. I wish one of them would. That's a job I need, just to manage your clock for you.
It's so easy.
Headset that hooks into the head coach, and I'll just be your situational awareness coach. All right. So anyway, I'm like trying to stop him. I'm like 15 yards away going, no. He calls it. And as soon as he calls it, he hears me. He turns and he looks and he goes, oh. And I went, and I just go, no big deal. Because my wife had called us out on it. I was aware of it. I was like, there's no point in yelling at him. Yeah. And he was the head coach. That's no big deal. He turned around like, dadgummit. Like, he realized immediately it was not the spot for a timeout. But it's funny.
We had a situation much like that. Much a couple of years ago. I wasn't head coaching. And our head coach, towards the end of the first quarter, we were driving. Towards the end of the first quarter, I think we had like 13 seconds left in the first quarter, and we were driving. He calls a timeout. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Like, what's going on? I wasn't that calm about it. I was quite animated, boisterous and loud. Yeah, I probably said a couple choice words. And he goes, well, I wanted us to score before the half. And I said, it's the first quarter. It's the first quarter. It's not halftime. Understand situational awareness. Don't burn time out. Like, I lost it. That's
single most valuable thing in the world.
You got
second half timeouts.
Oh yeah, second half
timeouts.
Yeah.
Single most valuable thing in the world.
Yeah.
Burning one on a PAT. I'll have an aneurysm.
Oh man, PAT or not getting the play in quick enough and having to call one to avoid a 5-yard penalty, play clock, like stuff like that. It's just,
I think they're worth 15 yards. I
Yeah.
think a timeout in the second half is worth at least 15 yards. I will
Yeah.
trade in almost any situation. There are situations where you don't make the trade, but I'll trade a 5-yard penalty for a second half timeout in a close game every time.
Yeah. Me too.
And if it's not a close game, I'm still not using it because I'm just going to take the 5 yards. Not a
Yeah.
close game. No big deal.
Work on something else.
Yeah. I mean, we can punt. Like, it's not the end of the world. So,
Yeah. Punt and play defense.
yeah, you see a lot. You just see a lot of not much around here. We got great coaches around here. Like, you don't see it too much around here, but you see it on TV, you see it in the NFL, you see it in college, especially.
Every weekend.
Like,
every weekend.
Just like how many guys are on this staff that they're missing. Georgia, UGA last year on 3 or 4 different occasions, I was like, how many coaches do you have that didn't see you need to you might want to look at that.
Yeah.
You might want to review that. And B, you probably should either call a timeout here or not call a timeout here. How many dudes do you have? It's not Kirby's job. It's one of the 50 other coaches to say, Coach, we need to look at this. Or, Coach, you might want to think about timeout. Or, Coach, we don't really want to call timeout here. Or, Coach, you know the one that gets me is when they know they're going to go for it on 4th down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 3rd and 7, and they throw the ball.
So stupid.
Like, if you know you're going to run for it on 4th down, why not try to get 3 or 4 yards? You may run for the first down, but or throw a screen pass, throw something short. We're throwing go routes on 3rd and 7 and then going for it on 4th and 7. And I want to jump out of the booth. I'm like,
how about this? I'll tell you something that burns me. It kills me. I see a lot in the NFL, and I don't understand it. It's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. You're not going to go for it on 4th down, but you want to get the first down, obviously. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. The wide receiver runs a route that's only 5 yards.
Yeah.
Why are we not running routes to get the first down? I probably saw this a billion times with the Falcons this year. Like,
I think you've got to check down, right? And a lot of that time it's a quarterback, panicking and doing whatever, doing the opposite. Matt Ryan, right? Matt Ryan led the world in 3rd down sacks. He would hold that son of a gun forever, which I hated, but also didn't hate. Yeah. Right. Like, he was like, I don't care if it's 4th and 7, we're punting. If it's 4th and 17, we're punting.
Still punting.
Now, in the Super Bowl, that's different, but that wasn't his fault. Well, I mean, kind of was. He was the guy that called the plays.
Should have ran the damn.
What gets me about that Super Bowl, there were 11 grown men who play football for a living.
Yeah.
In that huddle. Run the ball.
Like, Coach, how would you?
Somebody's got to say, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to say, what are we doing here?
Or one of the things that killed me was in the Chick-fil-A Bowl a couple years ago, Ohio State, Georgia. It's the 4th quarter with like 6.5 minutes left. Ohio State's up by 2 touchdowns. We're snapping the ball with like 14 seconds left on the play clock. I'm like, what are we doing? Right. And I've been drinking since 12 o'clock, and I could see that. I was screaming it at the top of my lungs.
4 was the magic number for Kyle Shanahan in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If he runs the ball 4 more times in the second half, the Falcons win the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Just 4 rushes. And you have a lead that big, and you're not 80-20 run pass against the best quarterback of all time.
Moronic.
In my opinion, the second best coach of all time. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Stupid.
And the fact that he can't win a Super Bowl makes me so happy.
I love it. Every time.
I wish him all the joy.
Every time.
I wish him joy and happiness, but he can't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's
joy
banned
and
for
happiness.
life.
No Super Bowl wins. No Lombardi.
Him and what's his face, who was actually his boss, who should have stepped in and said, run the stinking football.
Mike Smith.
Mike Smith. If that would have happened, was it Mike Smith? Yeah.
I don't know. Or was it the dude from?
All I remember is Kyle Shanahan.
Or was it the dude from Seattle?
It was a guy from Seattle. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. All I remember is Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
But, that's the head coach's job. If that would happen on the other sideline, you're telling me Bill Belichick's not yanking his offensive coordinator up and saying, you are going to run the football or I am going to fire you?
Dan Quinn.
That's who it was. You can't.
Oh,
Belichick would have said, you run the ball or you're fired.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, don't clipboard, pal.
And whatever you do, if you're going to throw it, don't do a 9-step drop, because that's what it was. It was a 9-step drop when Freeman missed the block.
That's so stupid.
And he was just tired. because he was busy rushing for 7 yards a carry. It's not like the Falcons couldn't run the ball. Freeman was running for 7 yards a pop all night.
Yeah.
If they run the ball every time, they may score a touchdown. The percentages of losing that game after Julio makes that catch had to be 99.8. You're going to win.
Oh, it had to be absurd. Yeah. Had to be
that
absurd.
was it. Game was over.
Yep. Ball game.
And then Shanahan. Why not?
And Shanahan.
But there was 11 dudes in that huddle. I've been in many football huddles where we've been like, we ain't doing this.
Yeah, we're calling it. We're 34 belly.
One of them has got to say, give the ball to Freeman. Let's just kneel on it.
Pound the rock.
Just take a knee. You could
have did the water boy where you just knelt and played defense. Knelt and punt, played defense, and you probably would have won.
You don't have to. You could have knelt and kicked a field goal, and the game was over.
Yeah.
Kneel down 3 times, kick a field goal. Ball game. After the catch by Julio, you could have done that. But it definitely hand the ball off 3 times and kick a field goal.
Yeah.
You don't need a touchdown. Why are you throwing the ball?
Stupidity. People outthinking themselves.
Therapeutic. Let's talk about that ridiculousness.
All right. You got anything to wrap us up, Casey?
No, I'm good. Love y'all.
We will see y'all next week on a brand new. Next week, we might already have the award. We might have to be saying soon to be award winning. We already have that award next time we record this.
When's the Nickelodeon Awards? I want to get slimed.
I don't know. We might win it though. Next week I will have a trophy at least.
You got your Nickelodeon colors on.
Oh yeah, your
Dabo Sweeney outfit.
Oh yeah, big.
What is that? Is that purple? What is it? Is that VR?
Yeah, it's VR.
I saw the Paw Print. I was like, oh, he is wearing Dabo Sweeney.
I don't know why it's blue on the camera. I have no clue.
The purple banner's purple.
Yeah, the banner's purple, but this is blue for some reason.
It's your new light.
That's it. It's my new fancy lights. We will see y'all next week on TM5's Bro Therapy with Bass and the Bear.